Hey guys, what's going on? Some random Irish guy here. I hope yous are all feeling well after your Christmas. Now, as promised when I was doing my whole Sega-thon video a few weeks ago, I started with the Master System, then moved up to the Genesis. Oh, Mega Drive! My god, that was never going to leave my mind. Mega Drive. I made a few videos about the power-based converter and a few of the add-ons and stuff like that. I said in one of my videos, I can't remember which one it was, that I would get my hands on a Dreamcast. This is the European PAL version of the SEGA Dreamcast, released here in the UK PAL format, December 3rd, 1999. This was the major competitor with such likes of the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. Unfortunately, it didn't really catch on and it was overshadowed and, overruled by the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. So, fresh in the box, well, kind of, I'm going to open this thing up. So, before I open it up, I'm going to show you the box. So here's a few of the things you could have gotten for it, if you remember this back in the day. You had the visual memory, the VMU cards, you had the regular controller, you had the race wheel controller, and the arcade stick. Also, there was a keyboard as well, and a light gun. Don't know why they haven't got them there. Some of the specifications, you could actually hook this up to the internet. Back then, that was a new thing, before it came mandatory, where you have to play all your games online now. You hook it up to a standard Ethernet cable into your, house modem or whatever. The only problem with that is that not much games were utilised for online gameplay, and to be honest with you, not much people knew how to hook it up back then. But nowadays, 2011, it's a must-do thing. So first thing is the controller that pops out, and a lot of good things about this controller. You have the rumble pack, which would pop in there. And you have these VMU cards, which I have to admit are pretty cool. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest selling points of the Dreamcast. You have these own little, in a simple way, these are just like a fashion designer kind of memory card. They're just memory cards, really nothing really special about them. But they also have little LED kind of, what the hell they call it? Like little monochrome, like a Game Boy Color kind of screen. Images that would pop up during your gameplay. Different games had different logos, like Sonic would have a Sonic logo, Crazy Taxi would have a different logo, and so on, so on, so on. But in a nutshell, they were just, memory cards, nothing special about them. One of the biggest downfall towards the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox was that, unlike the Xbox that had built-in hardware memory and PS2 that had just standard memory cards, these things would utilise batteries. So if the battery went on this, you'd have no memory card. I think that was the case, but they're just a memory card, no one really cares about them. This is the rumble pack, which, if you're used to N64, you know what this does. You slot it in and just vibration, nothing special. The biggest thing I'm not a big fan of with the Dreamcast, which any Dreamcast haters, you want to leave your angry mail, go ahead. I am not a fan of the controller. I just want to go on record by saying that I'm not a fan of the controller. Now, growing up at the time with the PS2 and the Xbox, I did have a chance to play a Dreamcast game, which was, in fact, Crazy Taxi. Great game, but the only problem was the controller was just horrible. And I'm not a huge fan of the controller. It looks weird as hell. It looks like an Xbox 360 controller or an Xbox controller. These trigger buttons are like glass. They slip too easily. The thumbstick doesn't have a lot of, resistance, so your thumb kind of slips off it. The D-pad is just shit. The start button, why is it positioned right down there at the very bottom? I don't know. The traditional 4-color buttons, I can't really argue too much about them. There's not much texture to them, but they're alright. Positioning, look how close they are positioned to the D-pad. So you can imagine a driving game, if you do a quick handbrake or something, you're always going to be slipping off. And yeah, I know, my fingers are cut. All my videos I seem to make, I always have blistered fingers or something, I don't know. It's probably from playing too much games. Playing without a VMU looks kind of boring as it is, and the VMUs do add a bit of weight to the controller, so it does add a nice bit of stabilised weight, as well as the rumble pack as well. So adding this much weight does kind of make a difference, but the controller itself, it's like trying to play with a bar of soap. It's too slippy, there's not enough resistance, but there's a lot of aftermarket third-party controllers out there. Alright, take out this box. We've got a few documents here. What have we got here? We've got a warranty, which I don't think is in date, and a manual. I don't think you need to know how to hook up the Dreamcast. Take this off here, and there we go. We are presented with nice, fresh, Sega-smelling Dreamcast. Which, I have to be honest with you now, I do like the look of the Dreamcast. It is a very, pretty, that sounds so gay, very stylish kind of console, and I just want to say that. I mean, like, with a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox, they were big, bulky beast things. You know, this thing is just simple, straight to the chase, small, compact, very heavy because it has its own built-in power supply, but it does look very nice. On the back, you can see this is where you plug in your internet cable, and you could have your AV out there, your serial peripheral, and your built-in AC input, which is just a standard plug that the PS2 and Xbox had. So you open up the tray like so, you pop in a game. I've got a few games here that I bought as well. Confidential Mission, Crazy Taxi, Sonic Adventures, and my favourite, House of the Dead 2. These two games would both utilise the Dreamcast Zapper gun, which I just so happen to have here as well too. This is the Dreamcast light gun, which is pretty cool, I have to admit. It feels so comfortable. And this is the official Dreamcast one. If you don't believe me, it says Dreamcast there, and the SEGA brand right there. There are a lot of aftermarket ones, mostly made by Mad Catz or Logic Tree, or, you know, a lot of third-party controllers. You could stick in your VMU card here, but as the manual dictates, this is not what the main purpose of this was. Because you would plug in your regular game controller into one of the ports and have the VMU in that controller so that would save. The main purpose of this was the rumble pack. So you'd plug in your rumble pack there and you'd feel the vibration to shoot, which was really cool. So a lot of great gun shooting games, as I am a huge fan of gun shooting games. Like nearly every console that I have a gun controller for. I really have to make a video of all the gun games that I have. You got Confidential Mission, Crazy Taxi, so you take Crazy Taxi. The game cartridges like this, or the game packagings, are very sturdy, very compact, very neat and tidy. Trying to open them is real annoying because they open up this way as well as they open up that way, so depending on which way you put your disc in, you open up that way. You open it up, you take the game out, stick it in, and power on. And there you go, you're playing Crazy Taxi. Great, great game. Unlike the PS2, it had 4 players on the fly, so you'd have to buy an additional multi-tap like the PlayStation made you buy. Same with the Xbox, plug 4 players directly into it. The only biggest downfall I don't like about the Dreamcast was that, unlike the PS2 and the Xbox, they could both play DVDs. This thing doesn't play DVDs. I want to watch a movie on this thing. Fucking Dreamcast. Alright. Next video will be some gun controllers. Thanks for watching.